Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever wondered about the technology behind cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin? Or how are secure online transactions made possible? The answer lies in the evolution of blockchain technology. From its humble beginnings as a simple ledger system, blockchain has grown into a transformative technology with endless possibilities. Join us as we take a deep dive into the world of blockchain, exploring its origins and evolution, as well as the many use cases that have emerged in recent years. This is a story of innovation and transformation, filled with intrigue and possibilities. So get ready to discover the future of digital transactions and the power of blockchain technology. Blockchain was first introduced in 2008 as the distributed ledger that underpins Bitcoin transactions. Since then, the technology has taken on a life of its own, with widespread interest. Governments, businesses, and other organizations are researching and deploying blockchain technology to meet a wide range of needs, the majority of which have nothing to do with digital currency. Blockchain provides security, immutability, traceability, and transparency across a distributed network. This makes it well-suited to use cases that have become difficult to support with traditional infrastructure. A blockchain is a database that acts as a public ledger for recording transactions without the need for a third party to validate each one. The blockchain is shared via a peer-to-peer, P2P, network. It is composed of data blocks that are linked together to form an immutable chain. To avoid a single point of failure, each computer in the network keeps a copy of the ledger. The blocks are sequentially added and are permanent and tamper-proof. A blockchain begins with an initial block, known as the Genesis block, which records the first transactions. The block is also assigned a hash, which is an alphanumeric string based on the block's timestamp. Blocks are sequentially added to the chain. Each block uses the hash from the previous block to generate its hash, thereby connecting the blocks. Blockchain also employs a computational process known as consensus to validate the authenticity of a block before it can be added to the chain. As part of this process, the majority of nodes on the blockchain network must agree that the hash of the new block was correctly calculated. Consensus ensures that all distributed ledger copies are in the same state. Blockchain initially served as a distributed public ledger to support the cryptocurrency Bitcoin. In a trustless environment, blockchain enabled the recording of Bitcoin transactions without the need for a central authority to establish trust. This not only increased transaction efficiency but also eliminated the costs associated with third-party verification. In addition, blockchain provided greater transparency, traceability, and security when compared to traditional approaches to handling distributed transactions. Although the blockchain has only been around for a short time, its impact has already been felt widely. 1979 to 2007, creation of blockchain and the early years. Many of the technologies built on blockchain were in development long before Bitcoin. The Merkle tree, named after computer scientist Ralph Merkle, is one of these technologies. Merkle described a method for public key distribution and digital signatures known as tree authentication in his PhD thesis at Stanford University in 1979. He eventually patented this concept as a way to provide digital signatures. The Merkle tree is a data structure that can be used to verify individual records. But Merkle was not the only one who helped lay the groundwork for blockchain. In his 1982 PhD dissertation for the University of California, Berkeley, David Chaum described a vault system for establishing, maintaining, and trusting computer systems by mutually suspicious groups. This was a system that embodied many of the components of a blockchain. Chaum is also credited with inventing digital currency, and he founded the DigiCash Corporation in 1989. Stuart Haber and W. Scott Stornetta published an article on timestamping digital documents in 1991. The article suggested a method to prevent users from backdating or forwarding electronic documents. The goal was to keep the document completely private without requiring record keeping by a timestamping service. Haber and Stornetta updated the design in 1992 to include Merkle trees, which allowed multiple document certificates to reside on a single block. During these early years, there was a lot of other activity that contributed to blockchain's success. For example, the rise of the P2P network, popularized in 1999 by the now-defunct Napster, occurred during this period. Some argue that Napster was not a true peer-to-peer network because it relied on a centralized server. Nonetheless, the service aided in reviving the P2P network by allowing the creation of a distributed system that could benefit from the computing power and storage capacity of thousands of computers. In this era, the concept of proof of work, POW, was also introduced to verify computational effort and deter cyber attacks. This paved the way for Hashcash, a POW algorithm that provides denial-of-service protection. Adam Back invented Hashcash in 1997 to combat email spam. Then, in 2004, Hal Finney pioneered reusable POW, a mechanism for exchanging a non-exchangeable, or non-fungible, Hashcash token for an RSA-signed token. The POW method is critical in Bitcoin mining. 2008 to 2009, Bitcoin and blockchain get their start. Satoshi Nakamoto released a white paper introducing the concepts behind Bitcoin and blockchain in 2008. Nakamoto is thought to be a pseudonym used by the person, or group of people, who proposed the technology. According to the white paper, blockchain infrastructure would enable secure, peer-to-peer transactions without needing trusted third parties such as banks or governments. Although Nakamoto's true identity is unknown, there has been no shortage of theories. The Bitcoin/blockchain architecture, which was introduced in 2008, was based on technologies and concepts developed over the previous 3 decades. The concept of a chain of blocks was also introduced by Nakamoto's design. This enabled the addition of blocks without the need for them to be signed by a trusted third party. Indeed, Nakamoto defined an electronic coin as a chain of digital signatures, with each owner transferring the coin to the next. This is accomplished by digitally signing a hash of the previous transaction and the public key of the next owner and adding these to the end of the coin, according to his white paper. However, Nakamoto's white paper was only the beginning. Bitcoin went from concept to reality in 2009. January 3, 2009. The blockchain concept was validated when Nakamoto mined the first Bitcoin block. The Genesis block, also known as Block 0, contained 50 Bitcoins. January 8, 2009. Nakamoto published Bitcoin version 0.1 as open-source software on SourceForge. Bitcoin is now available on GitHub. January 12, 2009. In Block 170, Nakamoto sent Hal Finney 10 Bitcoin, which was the first Bitcoin transaction. October 12, 2009. For Bitcoin developers, the Internet Relay Chat channel #BitcoinDev was created. October 31, 2009. Bitcoin Market, the first Bitcoin exchange, was established, allowing people to exchange paper money for Bitcoin. November 22, 2009. To share Bitcoin-related news and information, Nakamoto established the Bitcoin Talk Forum. Nakamoto programmed the system to ensure that there would never be more than 21 million Bitcoin. Over 18 million have already been extracted. Based on current mining rates, Bitcoin should reach the 21 million limit around 2140. In the meantime, despite price fluctuations, their value continues to rise. A Bitcoin was worth less than 1 cent in October 2009. Each Bitcoin is now worth more than $35,000 today, USD. 2010 to 2012, Bitcoin and cybercurrency take hold. On May 22, 2010, Laszlo Hanyecz paid 10,000 Bitcoin for 2 Papa John's pizzas, making Bitcoin history. The pizzas were valued at around $25, and the trade is now worth more than $350 million. Not long after, a programmer named Jed McCaleb founded MTGOX, a Bitcoin exchange based in Tokyo. MTGOX was an abbreviation for Magic, the Gathering Online Exchange, a fantasy card game. MTGOX handled more than 70% of all Bitcoin transactions at its peak. However, in August 2010, a hacker exploited a bug in the blockchain code to generate over 184 billion Bitcoin in block 74,638, tarnishing Bitcoin's reputation. Nakamoto released a new version of the Bitcoin software, but by the end of the year, he had vanished completely from the Bitcoin scene. Despite Nakamoto's disappearance, the Bitcoin trajectory remained consistent. 1/4 of the 21 million Bitcoin had been mined by the end of January 2011. By early February 2011, the value of a Bitcoin had reached parity with the US dollar. MTGOX was soon sold to Mark Karpelès by Jed McCaleb. Soon after, Bitcoin achieved parity with the euro and the British pound sterling. WikiLeaks began accepting Bitcoin donations later that year. However, MTGOX was hacked and Bitcoin was stolen, causing an artificial drop in value and causing trading to be suspended. Then, in October 2011, Litecoin, one of the first Bitcoin spin-offs, was released. By 2012, cryptocurrencies had become famous. For the majority of the year, the Bitcoin price remained around $5, with many up and down fluctuations. In May of that year, Mihai Alisi and Vitalik Buterin launched Bitcoin magazine. The Bitcoin Foundation was also founded to promote Bitcoin and improve public perceptions of it. Coinbase raised more than $600,000 in its crowdfunded seed round the same year, paving the way for the company to become one of the top Bitcoin exchanges. OpenCoin was also founded by Chris Larsen and Jed McCaleb. As a result, the Ripple transaction protocol for currency transactions and real-time payments was developed. And that's about it. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the evolution of blockchain technology. We hope you now have a deeper understanding of the power and potential of this transformative technology, and the many use cases that are emerging around the world.